I was sitting in my home studio. The familiar chaos of canvas prints sprawled across the floor, tech monitors blazing dimly in the dark light, and half-finished projects lying against the walls. My fingers were stained with paint after mucking around earlier, and the air smelled like turpentine and coffee. It was a usual Thursday afternoon, or so I thought. Then, my phone rang on the desk, cutting through the quiet hum of the room. I glanced down, expecting a text from Claren, pestering me about picking up groceries or something. Instead, it was a signal from Forbes. My heart halted for a second when I read the headline, Forbes billionaire list, meet the secretive digital art mogul behind a $5.1 billion NFT empire. And there it was, my name, bold, glaring back at me like some kind of strange joke. I blinked hard, cleared my eyes, and read it again. Public. Out there. No going back now. The weight of it hit me slowly, like water seeping into fractured earth. For 12 years, I'd kept this life hidden. My actual life, not the one everyone thought I had. My wife, Clara, her dad, Gerald, and Margaret. Her entire family. They all saw me as the struggling artist. The guy barely squeaking by on odd jobs and hobby projects. I let them think that. It was easier that way. Less explanation, less debating. But now, suddenly, the mask was gone, and I could feel the ground shifting under me. On the desk, next to my phone, sat a gold-lettered invitation, elegant and crisp, for the family reunion, approaching in 2 days at Gerald and Margaret's huge home. I'd been dreading it for weeks. Clara had even grabbed me aside yesterday, her voice stern as she urged, "Please, just don't humiliate the family this time." She meant, don't show, up in my paint-stained pants. Don't talk about art no one cared about. Don't give her dad another reason to look down his nose at me. I nodded, kept my mouth shut. Like always. But now, with that Forbes alert blazing up at me, everything felt different. I slumped back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, my head racing. How was this even happening? I mean, I knew it was coming eventually. Jules, my assistant, had alerted me last month that the magazine was sniffing around my business. She's great like that, always 2 steps ahead, with her deadpan voice and cutthroat style of managing things. "They're on to you," she had said over the phone. No emotion, just reality. "Your anonymous days are numbered." I'd shrugged it off then. Told her to keep the jet on standby and the island prepped, just in case. But watching it live, seeing my name connected to millionaire and mogul, it felt like someone had kicked the legs out from beneath my chair. Clara didn't know. Her parents didn't know. None of them did. For 12 years, I played the part they wanted me to play. The broke dreamer married to their perfect daughter, the guy they pitied at every holiday meal. I drove a torn-up old pickup, wore clothes that looked like I grabbed them from a thrift store bin. Let them pick up the tab when we went out. Why? Because every moment I tried to inform them about my work, about blockchain, NFTs, the digital gallery I was creating, they chuckled or rolled their eyes. "That's cute," Gerald had said once, rubbing my back like I was a child with a lemonade stand, so I stopped trying. Instead, I built it all in secret. And now, suddenly the truth was out, and I didn't know whether to laugh or panic. I picked up my phone again, scanning through the article. It had everything. My first NFT drop, 12 years ago. The anonymous platform I launched that took off like wildfire. The licensing deals, the acquisitions, they even had a portrait of me from some weird conference I'd presented at years back. One I'd forgotten about. Reclusive, they called me. I suppose that was true. I had stayed out of the spotlight, kept my head down, let the work speak for itself. But now, $5 billion. $1 billion. That number gazed back at me, hard and true. I'd known I was doing well. Heck, I bought a private island last year, hadn't I? But seeing it set out like that made it feel bigger, heavier, and the timing couldn't have been worse. 2. Days from now, I'd be stepping into that reunion, facing Clara's family, with no way to escape anymore. I set the phone down and ran my hands over my hair, trying to think. Clara would see this soon, if she hadn't already. Her phone was usually buzzing with news notifications. She liked keeping up with the world, loved knowing things before everyone else. What would she say? What would she do? Just last night, we'd been in the kitchen, her chopping veggies for dinner while I pretended to help. She'd groaned, loud and theatrical, and added, "I hope you find something steady, you know. My parents keep asking when you're going to grow up." I just smiled, nodded, let it flow off me like I always did. Stable. She had no idea. And her parents? God. Gerald and Margaret were the worst. Old money types. Stiff and judgmental. Always acting like I was some charity case they'd taken in by letting me marry their daughter. Margaret, with her false smiles. Gerald, with his lectures about genuine labor. They'd spent years staring at me like I was nothing. And now they'd have to eat every syllable. I stood up, pacing the studio, my boots scuffing against the hardwood floor. The invitation grabbed my attention again, hanging there, all proud and proper. 2 days. 2 days till I'd step into that reunion, and they'd all know. Part of me longed to phone Jules right then, tell her to crank up the jet and fly me somewhere far away. Maybe the island, where I could lay on the beach and let this blow over, but another part of me, the bigger part, wanted to see their expressions. I wanted to watch Gerald's smug grin falter. Watch Margaret's pearls shake as she clutched them. Watch Clara try to figure out how she'd missed this. For 12 years, I'd been invisible to them, a shadow in their lovely little world. But not anymore. The truth was out, and it was mine to own. I stopped pacing, grabbed my phone, and texted Jules. "It's live. Plan reveal starts now." Her reply came back in seconds. Short and sharp, like always. On it. I took a big inhale, feeling the adrenaline start to surge. This was it. The mask was off, and I was ready to step into the light. I was still reeling from the Forbes alert, my phone lying heavy in my fingers when it buzzed again. This time, it wasn't some news app. It was Franklin.Clara's brother, phoning me. I glanced at the computer for a second, his name flashing like a warning message. Franklin was the boisterous one in the family, always laughing, constantly teasing me for being the starving artist. I imagined he'd seen the article by now. No chance he'd missed something this major. I swiped to respond, holding the phone to my ear while I reclined against my desk. The clutter of my studio crushing in around me. "Hey, Franklin," I murmured, keeping my voice steady, like nothing was different. "You seriously on Forbes?" he shouted. No hello, no warm-up, just right to it. His voice was high, almost squeaky, like he couldn't believe it. "Billionaire? Are you in witness protection or something? What's going on, man?" I could hear the stress in his tone, the way he was racing to make sense of it. I let out a tiny chuckle, more to myself than to him. "Yeah, it's me," I said simply. "No witness protection, only me." There was a long gap on his end, like he was waiting for me to claim it was a hoax. When I didn't, he let out a low whistle. "Holy crap," he mumbled. "Clara is going to lose her mind. You know that, right?" I didn't answer right away, because I didn't need to. My eyes flicked to my phone screen as a text flashed up. Clara. Just a link to the Forbes article. And 3 words. What the hell? No emojis? No questions? Exactly. So piercing, so frigid, so demanding. I could imagine her. Seated at her desk in our living room, her perfect hair pulled back, her lips pressed tight as she glanced at her phone. She hadn't called yet, hadn't stormed in, like I half expected her to. Just that text, sitting there like a loaded pistol. I switched back to Franklin, who was still rambling. I mean, Guy, how? You've been driving that rusty truck forever. You let Mom and Dad pay for supper last month. What's the deal? I rubbed my temple with my free hand, feeling a headache starting to creep in. It's a lengthy story, I said, which wasn't a lie. But it wasn't the complete truth either. Look, I'll see you at the reunion, okay? We'll chat then. I hung up before he could push harder, dumping the phone onto the tabletop like it was burning my hand. They were all rushing now. I could feel it. Franklin freaking out. Clara stewing in quiet. Presumably, her parents next, once the word filtered. Up to them. And me? I was just standing there in my paint-spattered trousers, the same person they'd derided for years. But now,